On this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast, Dave and I bid adieu to this God-forsaken year. That's all we need in the way of intro. I'm Carlos. That's Dave.
I feel that's all we really need in the way of podcasts, right?
Now you see, Turbo, why I am a professional.
Right? Like, I mean, we're both on the video here. I mean, maybe we could edit me in, maybe not if it was for just the audio version. But otherwise, I mean, it's our podcast. We're there.
Yep, we did it. We did it, you guys.
Cheers to you all.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the last podcast for the year. Very similarly, I did even on my own YouTube channel, I did kind of a year-end retrospective. The year-end retrospective on the YouTube channel was actually a three-parter. I was able to put together a three-parter. Yeah. Well received so far.
This will not be a three-parter.
No, absolutely not. That would require effort. Hashtag sponsor us. But the thing is that a lot of what it really came down to, and it was very interesting, was it depends on what you're looking at. Because when we're looking at the sports side of it, which is what we talk about most often, it's like, it's kind of a lot of bad stuff or a lot of questionable things are kind of like, yeah, that happened. But on the sports card world, actually, this past year was booming. Like business was booming. There was a lot going on. Even for my personal collection, it's been a great year with that. So as far as that piece is concerned, there was a lot to talk about. In sports, there is a lot to talk about, but a lot of it is like compromise for different reasons, all kinds of variety of different reasons. But that's kind of what we all had to kind of work around and deal with. So this one's going to be talking a little bit about a couple of things that caught our eye or that we thought about from 2020 this year in sports. Now, what was interesting, and this is something I found with the sports card thing, I was fortunate in the sense that I had recorded so much stuff throughout the year that I was able to refer back to it as my own reference material. I was able to go back and go, all right, that happened this year. Yeah, that's right. That happened this year. Because especially for the early part of the year, it's like, it's hard to remember. It's like, actually that happened too. Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's very easy to almost disconnect everything because for a lot of folks, January to the end of February is different than March onward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to kind of consider that almost creates this divide where you're almost in your brain starting the year in March because it was a completely different setup and the way everything was going down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So as far as that's concerned, so let's start off with this one. To begin with, anything interesting in Christmas? Pretty low key, just hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say that was other than not getting together with people that was sort of somewhat unique is we did have a visit with the in-laws. But that visit was through a window. Mm-hmm. So we were inside, they were on the porch, and we opened some gifts with George and whatnot. And he got to see, half of his grandparents, whatnot, which was like, it was weird because it was on one hand heartbreaking, but on the other hand, like really nice because we still got to see them, and that was our sort of way of, still obeying all the lockdown rules. And then, for my parents, we just did a FaceTime. So, but otherwise it's pretty low key. Like even George is like, yeah, I open a gift and I'm good. Like if he likes what was in it, he doesn't care about anything else. He's just like, I'm good. I'm going to go play for a while.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. I guess
that
for me,
that is the essence of Christmas, Dave.
Exactly. I got Madden 21. So I have my first Madden game since 2010, Carlos.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Lamar Jackson's on the cover, so there's a lot of Ravens stuff. But so far, offense wins and defense wins when I've been playing because I've been playing on like the easiest setting. And so far, I've played, I think, 4 games, and I've only had 1 touchdown scored against me. So clearly, I think I probably need to up my difficulty level. But, as we know in Madden, offense rules always.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Fair. And that's pretty much it. Still waiting for some stuff in Canada Post. Who knows where things are in the world of parcel delivery. But other than that, it's just been pretty chill, kind of playing with George and getting a little bit of work done here and there while he's napping or asleep at night. And I'm started watching The Crown, which I highly recommend, which is probably old news to anyone who actually knows what The Crown is, but I'm finally on that train and I'm happy to be there.
Look at you. Aren't you special?
And that's all I got for you, man. How about you?
It was pretty low key, I would say. Not too bad from my perspective. An interesting thing for me was really the fact that I guess I'm just trying to think of the best way to describe this. And the funny part for me was that basically, in terms of the way we do Christmases, it was basically the same as normal, to be honest, because it's still kind of the same kind of my parents and my brother and myself. And but the whole exchanging of gifts and everything was still has always been kind of funny for me because with everybody being an adult there, it's like you don't really need anything. If you wanted things throughout the year, you would have bought them for yourself. So a lot of gift cards get exchanged usually that way. But I laugh because there was a stretch where my mom was going to buy a couple of different gift cards for some folks and wanted to use the company card, the corporate card, and I still had it because I had been doing my consulting work. And then she goes, "Hey, so can you buy the gift cards for us and then pay off the bill on the thing?" And I go, "Well, I can, but which gift cards do you want?" And she's like, "Well, I'd like to get a couple of LCBO ones." And I go, "I see." So I could do that, or I can give you the card and Roberto can buy it for himself because he's literally there. And she's like, "Yeah, but you could go." It's like, what on earth do I need to go in? He literally is going to be there. He can buy the card and walk out with the card.
He works there.
He works there. He's literally physically there. And she was finally like, she finally acquiesced to logic and sense. So
Good.
she finally acquiesced to logic and sense. And then I enjoy how she gets annoyed that I come up with a very streamlined way of accomplishing the same task. And I go, "You do realize the hilarity that's going to be when you try to give me an LCBO gift card?" She goes, "What do you mean?" It's like, "You're going to give me the card, and then I'm going to hand it directly to Roberto, who bought the card in the first place. And I'll be like, 'Hey, get me this thing, and if there's any left over, just let me know the difference, and I'll pay you.'"
Exactly.
The circle of gift card. It's literally just full circle. Roberto bought the card, gave it to my mom. My mom put it on the envelope, handed me the card. I had the card over to Roberto with instructions.
Yeah.
It is the dumbest thing in the
Oh
entire
my
world.
Speaking of gifts, though, I do have something for you myself, which I will eventually deliver your way.
Is it a gift card that you got Roberto to buy?
Yes. I wish it was. No, but it is related to the LCBO.
There you go. Exactly. I do feel like that should become a thing. I think we should all get. If any of you want to buy me a present, you should all do LCBO gift card, but get Roberto to buy them.
I feel this is fair.
Yeah, like just so that, and by about the 100th time, he would be like, why don't they just buy the thing and give you the thing?" No,
because it's
absolutely
much
not.
more fun for the rest of us, Roberto.
Yeah, like this is way more funny. I just hand him a stack of cards and go like, "Go shopping. Here's my list."
Yeah, I think I will try and arrange that in the future at some point. Maybe birthday, maybe next Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get in touch with Roberto and see if he can pick me up a gift card, in which I will give to you, and then you will give back to Roberto. It will be fun.
Yes, he'll appreciate it. I'm confident of this. I am genuinely confident that this is the case. You know what I mean?
Well, I might appreciate it maybe one time, but I think that'll get old for him real fast.
Oh, we'll run this joke into the ground, Turbo. We will run this damn thing into the ground. This horse will be beaten until it becomes glue.
Unless he goes to, if he goes in dressed as the ninja, that could be fun too.
He could be fine, but I don't see in what way that would save him.
You just go in. I don't know. Just for us, it would make it more entertaining. I'm not worried about whether it's entertaining or fun for Roberto. He has a duty to do, and he needs to accept it.
That's at least you're thinking the right way. You're thinking with the proper spirit. That is the way it should be. That is right. But yeah, otherwise than that, no, it was kind of it was very, very regular. I will say though that I did get down like a YouTube rabbit hole and then basically didn't sleep that evening. So, as I do sometimes.
It happens.
Yeah, but it did make it for a long Christmas day where I went back, I made some brunch, and then I slept a little bit for Christmas. Kind of took it easy, but otherwise, no, pretty low key, pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Good.
Yep. So let's do this. As far as 2020, there's a lot of ways we could do this. So, okay. You gave me a list earlier of certain specific things that you want to. What is your kind of a couple of your favorite like ridiculousnesses that we did during this past year on the podcast? There was a lot.
So I did think about this, and I have a bunch, but I think I'm only going to mention two.
Yeah.
Right. And I think maybe more can come out, or maybe three. We'll see. Because there's many more that I don't think are like, some of them you wonder, was it actually this year? But these ones I know for sure. The Kawhi being, or Uncle Dennis and Kawhi being the same person, or one of them being Kaiser Soze, I think was the best thing we've ever done on this podcast. But I think that might have been 2019. So
I would say it's up there, but at the same time, I'm just trying to think because there was I would say there was a number of things that were 2019. Yes, I don't know if the Kaiser Soze one is my absolute favorite. I do enjoy the pirate one. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, that was this year for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a little Sir Purr kind of references.
Well,
There was a
but
couple there.
but that thing, right? That Kaiser Soze and the Kawhi and Uncle Dennis ended up becoming LeBron and Sir Purr this year. So that was there.
Yeah.
But my favorite, oh sorry, I'll go with my honorable mention then. And my second honorable mention will be to you officially getting rid of the spiel.
Mm.
You know, and then starting to get rid of it, and then officially getting rid of it, saying it will only come back if it's a voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite moment on the podcast of us in 2020 was when we came up with several different ideas, but basically 2 ideas to save the CFL this year, neither of which they used, which is unfortunate because we did say they could have them for free. The first of all being because the sports card market was so high, making cards of The Rock when he was on, the Calgary Stampeders for like 2 games, right? Because there's an image out there of him on the team, so they can make a card. So there's that, or having the telethon with the Sarah McLachlan music in the background.
Yes, the Sarah McLachlan telethon thing was a good one. I would say that was accurate.
So that is my top moment of this podcast for this year.
I think that's fair. There was, I think I was trying to see if I could do it. I think I can. I think there's something I can do. Let me try. Give me a second. I'm going to try something.
Okay. Hey, you can edit it always, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we got it. So while I was trying to see if I could, I was trying to think if there was a way that I could somehow, there was a way that I could somehow have created a montage, but it was a little late in the game. But sometimes, once in a while, on the Facebook page, I would post some clips.
This is true.
This year, I didn't really have a chance to do as many, but I did get one done in October. So I can share that with you now.
All right.
So that is something we're going to do right now. This was one of my favorites for sure. All right, so let's see if we can hear this. They look good. Now again, if they have a bad game this next upcoming game, in the next couple of games they lay an egg somewhere in there, the narrative will shift 180 degrees. Tom Brady's too old. This team is full of things. Antonio Brown lit himself on fire in the middle of the thing and ran into the crowd. Like
all legit possibilities. I'm still waiting for Antonio Brown to become the mascot.
Well, what's Tampa Bay's mascot?
I don't know. It's probably some kind of pirate.
Now you know where we're going with this.
I do.
Pirate?
No, I don't know. I feel their mascot's name's got to be something like Billy Buccaneer or something generic like that. I don't actually know.
But don't you think Sir Pirate would be a bit redundant? Because I feel like pirate is almost its own title.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, like being a proper pirate. It's like, sir, that is unnecessary. Literally unnecessary. You don't need to be Sir Pirate. That would be like, what if he's Sir Pirate Esquire?
Even better.
It needs to develop.
I like it. I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with it. Yeah, Esquire.
Yeah, he just walk, but then he's a pirate and he's like a douchey pirate. Like he comes out with a monocle. And
of course, why not?
He's dressed like half Jack Sparrow and half like Mr. Peanut with the top. I want you all to take that visual back with you now.
Yeah, I wish we could find that.
Do you see what I've done, Dave?
I know. I mean, it's somebody that's listening to this needs to create that and send it to us.
All I'm saying is now I want you all to visualize what I just did there. Just visualize it and realize the brilliance right here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we did bring the people Crazy Face Ronaldo. Don't forget.
It is a fact. It is a fact. This is quality content, is
right.
All I'm saying. On a related note, I would have also picked Crazy Face Ronaldo because that was funny.
That was very funny.
Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, Dave, in all the humility I can muster, sometimes I am in awe of the brilliance of some of the crazy shit I come up with. Like, I'm just sitting there like, did I actually come up with it? Listen to tapes. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I really did. I regret nothing.
Hey, man. That's what we bring. We bring the unnecessary and we bring the nonsense. Hence the name, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I was happy that at least I had that clip. Like, I was scanning through. I was like, yes, I have this one. This one for sure I have. Excellent.
Which is solid. And whether anything gets put up later or not, Our conversation about saving the CFL is in episode 61, around the 1 hour, 6 minute mark.
It is possible. It is
So
possible.
if anyone's looking for it, you can go find it on our YouTube page,
Yeah,
or in iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Correct. I do think it was funny because it was easier, I think, for me before to get some of these clips up, because I was doing it kind of as part of a multiple phase thing with the social media, but I've been very lazy with the social media. I feel like I've taken on so many additional little projects and things. It's like it just taken a lot of time. But I was scanning through, and it was like for 2019, I had a bunch of different. The possibility of breakdancing becoming an Olympic sport was a clip we had from 2019.
Yeah,
that was a good clip. And then I'm explaining how the price that the Lakers paid to get Anthony Davis might not have paid out. Making up a podcast concept on soccer that I would run that podcast of. Questionable draft decisions. That was the Danny Dimes joke. And then you finally acknowledging that pretentious cross-country running is the one true name of soccer. That is one of my favorite clips. But that is a 2019 clip.
Yeah, but no, 2020 had some good moments. Remember, don't forget. I'm pretty sure 2020 had the first you uttering Fight Island.
Yes. There were multiple utterances of Fight Island, but yes,
right.
The Fight Island could be its own supercut. It's like literally just me finding different angles to go Fight Island.
Exactly. Notice I purposely did not say it that way, just so I could get you to say it that way.
I think if you did, it would cheapen it.
I agree. In this case, I agree with you.
Yeah. Although my personal favorite clip, I don't care if it's 2019. I still feel it's the clip that will always be the ultimate classic clip. And to me, it is the quintessential Unnecessary Nonsense podcast clip. Regardless of year, regardless of time, there is no time when it's not appropriate. And I will share it with everyone right now.
I was gonna say, I hope you have this with you.
I was setting it up for this, yes.
All right.
Last week I was in Quebec for a bit, and I'm thinking to myself, if I actually lived in Montreal, I would totally be on board with this team, like 100% again. But I just need a couple of trips to Montreal and I'd go back there.
Well, you eat some poutine and all of a sudden you're like, I'm back in, guys. You're right. PK sucks. I hate that guy.
Pretty much.
I got you. I broke you. I knew it. It was only a matter of time.
Magic poutine, that's what does it.
Yep.
It's true. And now I am back in, right? Like, I don't care about the New Jersey Devils. I'm back. I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan 100% now. Again.
Was he with the Devils now? Wasn't he with Nashville? Oh no, sorry,
He
Nashville
was.
and then Devil. And then
Is he still
with the Devils?
Sorry?
Is PK Subban still with the Devils?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They got traded from Nashville. And which is coincidentally around the time that I had Poutine in Quebec City. So
Look at you.
You know?
And then the abandonment of PK Subban began.
So there you have it.
That was back in April 2019. I don't care if it's the wrong year. It was still a good clip.
Whatever, man. That's literally the best thing we've ever done of any year.
It's one of. It's one of.
I don't know, it's pretty up there.
I'm still a fan of of various Surpers, and I'm also a fan of my indignation at Surper, and also the douchey pirate. I still kind of like that. The douchey pirate is a classic.
Yeah. Did we ever find out what the actual mascot of Tampa Bay was?
No. Does anyone really care?
No, I don't think so. But
it could be Antonio Brown, and I don't think I care. So,
I mean, at this point, it might be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the playoffs, so.
Playoffs? They made the playoffs? What? Well, you know who else is making the playoffs? The Buffalo Bills, and we'll get to that in short order.
Nice.
But as far as
Sorry. Do you have any other non podcast moments in 2020 related to sports that you feel are deserving of mention? Hold on. This is actually pretty sweet.
He's laughing at himself already.
No, because I looked up the name. This is the
Tampa Bay Buccaneers mascot?
Yeah. Okay. Ready for this, girls?
I guess so.
Captain Fear.
What? That is like infinitely dumber than I thought.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Captain Fear. I feel you need to Google that right now and put that up for the listening and for the viewing audience. Listening audience, you're gonna have to look that up yourself. But Captain
I'd
Fear.
only be happy with this if Captain Fear actually looked like a cross between Jack Sparrow and Mr. Peanut.
He
Like,
barely looks like Jack Sparrow, let alone Mr. Peanut. You're going to be very
brutal.
disappointed.
Brutal. Well, when it comes to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everything they do kind of disappoints me.
This is true.
Like everything.
Even
Oh
though
my
I'm
God,
not a
that is
fan and
trash.
I can't stand them, they still disappoint me.
That is trash. Like, what is? Okay, hold on. Okay, let me. For crying out loud. Oh my God.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Carlos, but I felt it had to be done. And once I saw the name, I was like, yep, we're going there.
All right. I'll here. Like this thing is not Captain Fear. This is Captain I'm afraid, and my eyes should be bloodshot. It looks like they are. And
Yeah.
just I haven't been this disappointed in a Twitter picture since every single Dallas jersey this year.
Fair. That's fair.
I would call that my not favorite of 2020. Every single Dallas jersey they introduced this year. All of them. Between the Rave jersey and then the Snow White jersey where we were too lazy to have colors. This is almost as disappointing. I'd rather be thinking about half Jack Sparrow, half Mr. Peanut.
I would too, man. I feel you could, create a side business creating mascots for sports teams.
I think most of the sports team it would be very difficult. The inspiration was just beautiful for Tampa Bay. It's like
that's true. Sometimes you just have that one inspiration, and that's all you need, though.
Yep, that's fair. That is fair. Yeah. So other than that, though, like 2020, I was thinking about this. Like, well, the Dallas run, the Stanley Cup was fun. The World Series was okay. I think it's one of those things where I feel like the result of a lot of the ways that a lot of these seasons and games went, it created this scenario where a lot of it was kind of anticlimactic. It was lukewarm.
Yeah, I would
Honestly,
agree with
the
that.
most fun I had watching something was like Korean baseball, and it was random. Like, at least Korean baseball was kind of fun. The rest of it was just kind of there.
I think for me, honestly, like watching sports in 2020, the NBA bubble.
It was
right?
okay.
Like I feel, because I was thinking about this the other night, and I was like, okay, if I could pick one league to not fuck it up, who would I pick? And it would be the NBA, because I feel it's probably the best run league as a league of all the major sports leagues in North America.
Right.
And I think they sort of took the thing where they were. I mean, MLS actually had a fairly successful bubble too, although it was only partial bubble because it was like a tournament, and then they ended up going back and playing more season games, right after the fact. Whereas the NBA season ended in the bubble, whereas baseball totally effed it up and tried to bubble. Right, it was so screwy with all the COVID stuff at the beginning, and then it felt like they figured it out, and then it ended with somebody being removed from Game 6 of the World Series because of a positive COVID test, and then coming out and celebrating with the team, and then the shit show that happened after that. Right, the NFL. I mean, you had all you need to say is the Denver Saints game where Denver played a game with no quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But NBA handled it, and they handled it well. And I mean, it was anticlimactic in terms of who ended up winning, but I think the Eastern playoffs were not anticlimactic in any stretch. It was basically just the finals, right? The rest of the playoffs had a lot of good matchups and some upsets, and the Clippers were the Clippers, which was very cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in terms of me and sports enjoyment and all that, Bayern Munich winning the Champions League was probably like a close second, with Alphonso Davies, playing in that game and playing well in that tournament. But the NBA bubble, and just because that was the one where I was actually watching games, right? Where baseball, I was like, okay, I watched the Dodgers game. But once baseball came back, started, I guess, because they didn't really come back. They never started. I didn't really watch that much baseball until the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I maybe caught a game here or there. I'm not even sure I watched the game. It was all on radio. I know I did, because I watched to see the Blue Jays in Buffalo. But otherwise, I didn't care. I'll just listen to it on the radio if I had time. But then the playoffs started. I'm like, okay, I'm all in.
So you're saying is that the baseball needed more poutine?
Yeah, pretty much. Or a team from Montreal. Oh, wait, they had that, but yeah. But honestly,
allegedly,
sports wise for me was enjoying the NBA bubble, and then everything else it was almost like this was the year that sports really didn't matter. Right? You had your Super Bowl champion in February, And then after that, it was kind of like I didn't really care about anything until the NBA came back, and then I watched a lot of basketball. But in between, sort of when everything shut down in March, starting with the NBA, and to the point where things came back in August, it was kind of like, yeah, you kind of just got on with life and did your thing, and I didn't really miss it that much.
I think that's fair. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays along as we go along, because obviously now we're closing in on the NFL playoffs, and we'll have to see kind of what the response is to that. I suspect there'll be a viewing audience, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, and I think it'll also be interesting to see is, because any of the teams that make I would say of the teams that are sort of favored, I'd probably pick based on the way things are going, 3 teams in each, right? That I would say theoretically are the most likely to win the Super Bowl. I would say Pittsburgh. I would say Buffalo. I would say Kansas City, obviously, in the AFC. And then in the NFC, I would go Green Bay, New Orleans, and probably Tampa Bay. And none of those teams have really had a major COVID outbreak, right? So obviously in terms of injuries, the biggest one is probably Drew Brees for the Saints, but they're still right there and could, depending on the way things shake up on Sunday, end up in the number 1 seed in the NFC. Right. So there's the but no other teams have had, Pittsburgh's has some injury bugs for like their defense and stuff, but no one's had like this where a bunch of players are out. And that could be the difference. If you're Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes gets COVID-19, you're probably not winning the game.
Well, I will say, and we'll talk a little bit more about this right in a moment when I get to the matchups and all that. Because I think he's taking the last week off in order to stay healthy and all that. And there's going to be a lot of that in this last week, because if you're not in a position where your seating is going to change or whatever, there's no rationale for you to even risk it. You're not going to risk injury. You're not going to do that.
But I think I did the math, and I could be wrong, because I often am when it comes to math.
But I was about to say, like, is this really the direction you want to go with the math?
I believe 11 of the 15 games have implications, like actually matter in some way, shape, or form. Which is pretty good for the last week.
All things considered, yes. A lot of that has to do with mediocrity.
Yes, it does.
Impressive mediocrity. And we will get to that momentarily. Oh, yes, we will. But I think that's fair, though. And like I said, as I go through the football games, we'll definitely touch on a couple of the points that you laid out there, and I want to touch on that a little bit. One other thing that we'll touch on, not this week, but I will bring it up because it'll come up in probably the next episode or the one after that. The NHL coming back in mid-January.
Yeah.
And the realignment with an all-Canadian division, which is very interesting, especially for like Rogers will be like, oh my God, we have all-Canadian matchups in everything. You can have all-Canadian matchup on CBC. You can have all-Canadian matchup on Sportsnet 1, Sportsnet 2, Sportsnet Deportes.
Please give me Sportsnet Deportes. That would be awesome.
There we live the dream. Just say it.
You know what? Honestly, I feel you would get Sportsnet Punjabi before you would get Sportsnet Deportes. And that's not a hit against Punjabi, but they already have the announcers for Hockey Night in Canada, so
yeah, I was gonna say probably, yeah.
They do. It's a thing. Hockey Night in Canada in Punjabi is a thing.
I know that. I've passed by it on the channel, and I was like, this is a tremendous disappointment. If you had Sportsnet Deportes, that's ratings, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what happens? 15 million people tuned into a first matchup. Why? Sportsnet Deportes.
I feel though if that channel came to be, you would need to be on that channel.
Probably, yeah. And it'd be like, welcome to Sportsnet Deportes. The rest of this will be in Spanish outside of what I'm going to say right now. But I welcome you all to the network that will have the highest ratings in this country. How do you know that ahead of time? I already know. And we will never air anything related to the CFL or the Grey Cup. But we will consistently shatter those numbers because peasant ratings.
And then it'd be like, bienvenidos a Sportsnet Deportes.
That's right. Exactly. And then, once the network becomes big enough, we'll buy the CFL and then fold them.
Wow.
And then we can all move on.
Wow.
I do what I can to help you. It's a merciful death.
Instead of folding, I think you should go with it. At least try the Sarah McLachlan thing first.
Well, we can still play it. Still fold them. the Sarah
you know what? The song would work. It would work.
Yeah, it's like, I will remember. It's like, why we remember them? Because we just folded them. They're done.
Yeah, pretty much. You take any of those Sarah McLachlan songs, and they work in a variety of settings.
Actually, yes. Because I don't remember what the name of that song is, But wasn't
It's
there
probably
like
I Will Remember You.
it would be so tremendously uncreative if that was the name, but it probably is. But wasn't there also the
Arms of the Angel.
yeah, but also was it like a Sweet Surrender or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think
It's
that
like Sarah
sounds familiar.
McLachlan trying to tell us that she wanted to kill herself for like her entire musical career. Holy crap! That's tremendously depressing if you think about that.
I don't know. Now I don't want to think about that, to be honest
It's like
with you.
either she's offing people or like versus like I Will Remember You. It's like Arms of the Angel, Sweet Surrender. It's like, so you want someone to kill themselves, or you want to kill them, or you want to remember them? It's like, that's dark, lady. That's real dark. Her entire discography is now taken to a completely different context, Dave. You have opened my mind.
Yeah.
Oof.
Boom.
Dang. I don't think we ever thought of this. We didn't realize that Sarah McLachlan was so dark.
No. I don't know if anybody did.
Now that we know, we can't unsee it.
It's true. It is one of those things.
Yeah, now you can't unsee it. It's done. All right. Well, now we know. There you go. So there you go. So we can look forward to Sportsnet Deportes and Sarah McLachlan's emo album. That'll be very exciting.
Thumbs up to that.
Absolutely. Okay. So I got the NFL slate in front of me. Do you have anything else that is not NFL related that you would like to discuss before we get to the NFL slate?
Not really. I mean, there's NBA drama as there always is. And the Raps suck right now. So let's talk NFL.
All right. So the Raps are back basically to the way they were pretty much up until that one season. Great. Good to know. All right. NFL slate. Let us begin with one of the most irrelevant games on the docket. On Sunday, 1 p.m., we have the 4-11 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 10-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers of the pathetic mascot.
Yeah. So this game, I mean, there's potential some playoff seeding that could switch around, but obviously Tampa Bay is not in control of their destiny. So, yeah, I think it's a kind of a ho-hum. I could see Atlanta potentially winning, but not really because it's Atlanta, and last time they were freaking destroying the Bucs and then lost because that's what they do.
That
so
is
I
what
take
should
Tampa
happen,
Bay.
and that is what they would do. But then it is the 2020 NFL season where the New York Jets decided, hey, why don't we start winning some games? Wait, aren't we trying to get the first overall draft pick? Yes. So our plan is to win games so we don't get the first overall draft pick. Yes. And then we will win just enough where we lose that and it doesn't help us in any other way. Correct. So we don't improve at all. Correct. And actually, when we get to the Jets game, I'll give you some scintillating analysis that I did on another podcast, but I'll share it with you guys because I felt it was some of my best work and it's worthy of being repeated. Okay. Next one, in the first of several suck bowls for the week, with playoff implications potentially, the 6-9 Dallas Cowboys will be taking on the 5-10 New York Football Giants as they try to clash for the potentiality of someone winning the stupid division that will not die.
Yeah, like the fact that it's possible that the New York Giants could still, any team except Philadelphia could still win this division.
Yep, all the other ones are still technically in play.
I don't know. I feel like all signs point towards Dallas winning this game, right? Which is why I'm going to take the New York Giants.
I was going to say, wouldn't this be like in the way the Jets did the Jetsiest thing they could do? Would it not be like on brand for Dallas to be like, okay, you get the most patsy team for your last game here. So how about you lose to them, go to 6-10 so that you both have 6-10 records?
Yeah. And then if they, right. And then if the other game goes away, like if Dallas loses this game, they're out. Mm-hmm. If New York wins, then they have to hope Washington loses, in which case then if that happens, then New York is the team.
Otherwise it's football team.
Yeah. Which we're all hoping for. I mean, anyone who, if there is a God, which I believe there is, Washington football team will win this division.
Are you sure?
I am. Well, we'll see. Yeah, if
I feel
like there should be some
wins. I feel like there should be some doubts right now. There's a couple of questions. The jury's still out on this one, Dave. The jury's still out. We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you pesting this week. All right. Next game. The New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots in kind of a suck bowl as well, but
Yes, this game means nothing to nobody.
No.
So I don't know.
But it gives me an excuse to make fun of the Jets. So let me use that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us your thing about the Jets.
Yes. So I was actually chatting last night, actually, on a podcast that also went a very long time. and a couple of football guys came on. We were just chatting random nonsense, but they came on and they were chatting about it. And I was making fun of the Jets thing about how they did their thing. And I decided I have come up with a solution for the Jets, and I have come up with the only correct path for them in the draft upcoming. Would you like to know what that is?
Yes, please.
There's only one thing the Jets can do that will not result in disaster. Now, I don't know if you remember, it's been years, but many years ago, Minnesota was on the clock, and they waited so long that the clock went to 0, and then they still waited, and then other teams started making their draft picks, because that can happen. If you do not make your pick within the context of the time frame, the next team is allowed to then make a pick. If they can get their pick in, their pick goes in, even ahead of you. So you have your window, but outside of that window, you have to make your pick, or it becomes fair game for the next team and the next team. And there was actually several picks before Minnesota was finally able to get their pick in. So they lost out on several draft spots. That has happened before, one time. So here's what I got.
All right.
The Jets are pretty much going to screw this up no matter what. So I think the plan is let the clock run out, let the other teams make picks, and keep doing that through every single round of the draft. Don't make any picks. Don't trade the pick. Get nothing.
That would be a Jetsy
There is
thing
no
to do.
possible way that you could screw this up in any way. You can't make a bad pick, Dave. Here's the meme? You can't make a bad pick if you don't make a pick.
It's true. I
Because
feel
no matter
that.
what you do, you're wrong. Because no matter what you do, you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
History says, I think the jetsiest thing to do here is literally to show up and not make a single pick.
I
Don't
think you're
trade
right.
the pick away. Get nothing.
I think you're right.
I think that is the only play the Jets have. The real play that would be the most appropriate for this year, the way they've run this organization, is to literally waste the entire draft and not make a single pick.
I agree.
And then be relegated to the XFL.
Why not?
For the love of all that is holy, just be relegated to the XFL. This team is trash. My condolences, Sam Darnold. Anyway, sadly, Trevor Lawrence, the only person who was really, a lot of people in Jets land were sad. No one's sadder than Sam Darnold. He's like, I'm still stuck here? No!
Yeah, he's like, here was my chance. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, right?
Out of necessity, yes. Although I didn't get to confirm, they might have fired Adam Gase, which might be a step in the right direction.
I hope so.
At least one. I'll double check, but that was what
I have not seen that, but I mean, although why they would fire him before the last game of the season when they've let him go this far is kind of bewildering. But
may I remind you that these are the New York Jets?
I know. I was just going to say, but they are the Jets, so
yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay, here. So this is one of the ones here. Jets have told Gase he will be fired. So apparently. So apparently the report is that he was told he will be fired. Nice. But he hasn't actually been fired.
You're going to coach the last game of the season because we're going to have to pay you anyway, and it's meaningless. But that will be the last.
No matter what happens, after it's done, leave the keys and please leave.
You might as well pack up before the game because as soon as the game's done, you're no longer an employee. The second they blow the final whistle.
Based on this possibility, can I make a subsequent suggestion for the New York Jets? I think you should unpack the shit from his office and leave it on the sidelines. Literally just leave it beside him on the sidelines.
But don't put it there till the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but take it out.
Yep.
Get you know what you could do? Get the keepers of the cup to bring the boxes with the white gloves and everything. Just bring it down.
Yep.
And
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and present it. And just
I think it's brilliant, Charles. I think it's brilliant.
I've done it, guys. I have put stakes on this game. We would all watch that shit.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it makes an otherwise meaningless game somewhat meaningful.
Do you have any idea how many New York Jets fans would be like, this is the greatest moment in franchise history? What about Super Bowl III? The second greatest moment in franchise history.
Exactly. Even better, get Joe Namath to do it with the gloves on.
Oh, goodness. We could break the internet.
And the fur coat. And a fur coat with the white gloves. Come on.
I like it, Dave. I think we fixed this game.
I agree.
Otherwise, it's irrelevant. No one cares.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. The 6-9 Minnesota Vikings taking on the 5-10 Detroit. I was about to say Red Wings, which would have been better, but basically at that point, it's like, no, the Detroit Red Wings would be better served as bad as they are.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's pretty accurate description for everything, especially in this game. Again, another game that doesn't really matter. So let's hope that somehow the Detroit Lions decide not to take the field and the Detroit Red Wings do instead.
I think that'd be fair. I think that'd be a solid pick. By the way, it still disappoints me that we've gotten this far in the season, and I've only been able to bet on a handful of games because these teams are trash.
Yeah.
And I can't even. It's not even the kind of trash where it's like, okay, one team is clearly going to win, so at least you can make money that way.
Yeah. No.
A lot of this is like I can't feel secure about any of this. It's not great. All right, next one. Technically has major implications. On paper, looks like a good matchup, so there has to be. The 12-3 Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 10-5 Cleveland Browns, who are fighting for their playoff lives.
Yeah, I don't know. This one should, let's say it should be good, but there's Cleveland, so I don't know what Cleveland's going to show up. It would be hilarious if the bad Cleveland showed up and they didn't make the playoffs after everything. That would be hilarious and very Cleveland-esque.
Last game, they had a chance to clinch, and they played really bad down the stretch. Really bad.
They were also granted, they were without their receiving core, basically. But still,
They're playing the New York Jets.
Yes, and they have two really good running backs, right? Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yep. So the solution was to have Baker Mayfield throw 50 times.
Yeah, right.
So at that point, whose fault is that?
Well, there you go. Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year.
Like I can't blame the Jets are just going to do what they're going to do. Like they were playing out the string. Even at that point, they were playing out the string. That's when it solidified that the Jacksonville Jaguars had the first overall pick. But that put an exclamation point on the whole thing. Very bizarre.
Maybe they should have fired their defensive coordinator earlier.
I guess, yeah. So anyway, we'll see. Like I said, to me, the Pittsburgh Steelers are still fraudulent, but fortunately, Cleveland is fraudulent. So it's a battle of who's more fraudulent? ?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So next one, Baltimore Ravens 10-5 taking on the 4-10-1 Cincinnati Bengals. For God's sake, Baltimore played better last week. My expectation would be that they should really put the hammer down on this, clean this thing up, and then go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum. Show that, because right now Baltimore has a lot to prove in the playoffs. That's really their thing. You got to get to the playoffs, and then you got to show something.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I think Baltimore should win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, but Cincinnati's really bad, especially without Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So there is no reason why Baltimore should not win this game.
Yeah, they're just playing it out. But like I said, I think some of these teams need to start taking some of these weaker opponents more seriously, in the sense that, look, just have a statement win. Finish with a statement win. Finish strong going into the playoffs so that at least you can ride some momentum, because you've been very inconsistent up until this point.
Where is the curb stomping, Carlos? Where is the curb stomping?
There hasn't been a lot of them. That's what I'm trying to get at. Some of these teams are playing supposedly inferior competition, and it's like, why is it this competitive? And we'll get to another team that has had this problem throughout the year. We'll get to that a little later on here in the lineup here. Okay, next one. The Miami Dolphins, technically with playoff implications for them, taking on the 12-3 Buffalo Bills, the resurgent Buffalo Bills, the suddenly Super Bowl contender Buffalo Bills,
the division-winning Buffalo Bills.
Yes, but with the possibility to go 13-3, Dave, 13-3.
I don't, you know what I mean? I think a lot of depends on how Buffalo, takes this, because they could be the 2 seed. Can Pittsburgh still be the 2 seed, or is Buffalo locked in as a 2 seed? I think it's either Pittsburgh or Buffalo, right?
I still think so. I think that's right.
So it has implications for both teams. I expect it to be a fairly good game. I think Buffalo will win this game if they play like they're capable of, though, because I don't think Miami is nearly as good. And with Buffalo still having something to play for, I think Buffalo's going to go 13-3.
I think the most important implication here is I'm trying to decide if it's this week or next week that I sell my Josh Allen rookie. This is a very difficult discussion. This is a very difficult consideration to have. Is now the time? Or if he puts up one more big one leading right into the playoffs, is that the time?
What if they win the Super Bowl, though, Carlos?
So seriously, so is it this week or next week? That's what we're trying to figure out.
How much is it approximately? How many? High threes? Where we go? Mid threes?
No. If it was graded, yes. If it was graded, yes.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to send it in, but the problem is with the way the turnaround time is. Okay, so if I do that, then they would need to win the Super Bowl, and I would have it back in time for Josh Allen's next year's MVP run.
Gotcha.
Because the turnaround time's too long. But as it is, I think I can actually kind of figure this out right now on the spot here pretty quickly. Let me quickly check because it has been going up a little bit lately, especially now that because the last couple of performances he had have been really good. Like the last game, he really lit it up, which was awesome. So right now it's hovering around almost $200
not bad.
for the ungraded, and that was down at about $50 back in November.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So,
Now, if you thought you had a PSA 10, would you grade it anyway?
Oh no, well, if I thought I had a 10, yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult to assess. A 10 is in the 730, 750 range.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. More realistically, probably would be more like a 9. That would be a more conservative estimate. A 9 though. So right now, based on the current pricing, a 9 is close to the raw price. So I might not be that much worse off just putting up an auction. So that's why I'm trying to figure out: is it this week?
Yeah.
Or if they have one more good performance,
That makes sense.
It's a debate because I could definitely put the money aside for some plans I have. I have plans.
Nice.
2021, Dave. We got to make some plans. Okay.
Rolex.
Well, that's one of my plans, but there are more card related plans because it's cards for cards. I may as well just use it for that. But for
Medano.
yeah, for that one though, yeah, the idea is new Rolex by 40. Working on it.
All right.
I think I can get it before that, but let's be conservative. Let's give ourselves some time so that we're not putting too much pressure on ourselves. Okay, so next one here. So, but I'm in agreement. I think Buffalo should be able to complete this, get this done. 13-3 going into the playoffs. They will feel good. The Bills Mafia faithful will be thrilled. It'll be matchup based. It's like everything else. Whoever they play in the playoffs will determine if they can win a round or two. Though that team has some capabilities. I do like some of the stuff I see from them. Especially in the AFC. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not this Bills team? Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Next, Seattle Seahawks, 11-4, taking on the 6-9 San Francisco 49ers. Seahawks should be able to just get this done and just get this over.
They should. I mean, this is one of the more interesting things, right, in terms of how the NFC goes. Because if New Orleans and Seattle win, and right, like let's put it this way to make it simpler, New Orleans needs a 3-way tie to win to get the number 1 seed, right? In terms of like positioning, Green Bay wins, they get the number 1 seed. Seattle wins, and the other 2 teams lose, they get the number 1 seed. So, yeah, implications big time. But then again, the 49ers play. I mean, they're banged up, but they're playing hard, and they've won some games they probably shouldn't have won. So, I don't know. I could see this going either way. If I had to bet money on it, I would probably bet the Seahawks. But luckily, I'm not betting money on this because I think this is a trap game.
I think a lot of these. Here's the thing: if I was going to bet money, I would probably bet on San Francisco because if I got good odds, for some of these games, if you're going to bother betting,
that's fair.
You're looking for odds. You're looking for something where, like, okay, look, I'll take a flyer, and if this works out for me, great, fantastic. Or maybe you do a parlay and be like the minimum amount you can get away with. Basically, you play a pro line ticket. Go like, all right, I'm just going to take a couple of long shots here, and if for some reason this thing hits, it's a mini lottery win.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's fair. For.
Yeah. Because you can't feel confident about a lot of these matchups, especially in this last week.
Nope, so, that's definitely fair.
Yeah. So next one we got 8-7 Arizona. I think Kyler Murray's hurt. I don't think he's been playing for that game. My understanding. And taking on 9-6 LA Rams. Meh. I don't even.
Jared Goff's also hurt. This game has huge playoff implications for both teams, though.
It does, but like.
And neither team is going to have their starting quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think for Goff it's less of a hindrance. Like,
yeah, I honestly I like with those 2 factors being there, I like LA because of their defense.
Yeah, I feel like as long as they get competent quarterbacking, that's good enough. At least to get by this game.
Yes, but I mean I don't. This is the thing. Like I like their defense a lot. The quarterbacking play is what it is, and I don't. I mean I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll win this game. I don't think they're making it past the first round.
Probably not. No, there's a lot of these teams that are just playing to get in, and then after that it's over. Okay,
yeah.
Next one. Very exciting. Jacksonville Jaguars, the future home of Trevor Lawrence, taking on the 10-5 Indianapolis Colts.
Yep. Which again,
Indianapolis Colts need to take care of business.
Right, which matters to Indianapolis, and I don't think they're going to have any problem winning the game.
Well, also Jacksonville literally is like, we have no reason to win this.
At this point, no.
We have no reason to even try. So it's like they'll go out there. They'll go out there so they don't get fined. That's about it. Okay, so next one, 10-5 Tennessee Titans taking on the 4-11. Let's get this damn season over with. Houston Texans.
Yeah, I think Houston's been. I mean, if I was a Houston fan, so frustrating. I feel like again. I think Tennessee wins the division, right? If they win this game,
I believe that's right.
So I think there's a bounce back here, and I think there's going to be a big game from Derrick Henry based on what we saw last week in Green Bay. I was so disappointed that game, man, because I mean, obviously I wanted Tennessee to win because it helps New Orleans' case against the number 1 seed, but I would like to see. I was like, "Ooh, it's snowing! You know how much I love snow football. Let's see a competitive game here." And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who wins. And then Green Bay would just destroy them, and I was like, "I'm not watching the game because there's nothing in it for me."
I was just pleased that the Green Bay destroyed somebody. I was like, I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah, and I mean, Tennessee's got a good offense too, right? So
That
is somewhat surprising that it was that much of a blowout.
But it should tell you something that they should be concerned about if in the elements they struggled that badly.
Yes.
Because in theory, having a running back of a Derrick Henry caliber, in theory, should be a great thing for you in snow.
Absolutely.
In bad conditions. That should be your advantage. Advantage you.
Definitely.
And it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Next one, Las Vegas Raiders taking on the 5-10 Denver Broncos. Like some of these matchups right here towards the end are just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yep. Who cares? Next.
Yeah. All right. The LA Superchargers taking on the 14-1 Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so this is the one that I wanted to talk about. Not because of the Chargers necessarily. I hope that I'd like to see some more Justin Herbert, play well. But Kansas City has been keeping a lot of these teams in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been a consistent theme with them. I could very easily see them going 14-2 here, and giving Justin Herbert one more nice little win to finish off the year. But a lot of that comes because Kansas City is lackadaisical at times. Like they allow teams to hang in there.
Yeah. Now let's remember Patrick Mahomes is not playing this game.
I understand, but like with Patrick Mahomes, they were letting team hang in there.
Yep.
So it's like you kind of.
Well, I mean, look at the New Orleans game as an example, which is a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City won by 3 points.
Yep.
Right. Really, on paper, if you look at the stats, they should have curb stomped New Orleans. Based on like the numbers, right? I think it was something like they ran 96 plays in that game, which is like tied for an NFL record or something like that.
Yep.
But somehow they only won by 3 points.
But the thing is, they've been doing that a lot. Like,
I
let's
know.
put it this way: they beat Atlanta by 3 last week.
Yeah, like so it's one of those things. Like I don't know. Like there's a lot of talk. I mean, every adage in football can be broken and whatnot. Right, that we'll just turn it on and when we get to the playoffs, and then when a team tries to do that, it doesn't work. But I mean, the season New Orleans won the Super Bowl, they lost their last 3 games. Right, they were 13-0, then lost their last 3, and everyone's like, oh, and then they like steamrolled Arizona, and then had a tight game against Minnesota, and then won the Super Bowl. Okay. So I don't know. I mean, I think talent-wise, Kansas City's good enough to play with anybody, and on their day is vastly superior to everyone else in the league. Right.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, if somebody gets, you maybe have an injury or a couple people get COVID, which I hope doesn't happen. But, I mean, it's quite possible that, if they're playing team close and they don't have the last possession, it's quite possible they're going out, the first time they play a game. Plus, they're going to have a week off, right? So I don't know if in this case, the week off would actually help them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So let me do this quickly. I'm going to actually take you through the schedule of Kansas City this year.
Okay.
So week 1, they played the Houston Texans and beat them by 14, 34-20. Now the Houston Texans are a 4-win team and they're terrible. They've struggled this year. This is when Bill O'Brien was still there at the helm. So, decent win, 14 points, but Houston's not exactly good.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. Second win, they beat the Los Angeles Chargers. They beat them in overtime 23-20. So that's an early Justin Herbert, good performance, kind of hanging in there with a quality team. Week 3, they beat the Ravens by 14, and that was 34-20 again. And the Ravens were struggling early in the season, if you remember. So that wasn't that great. Then they beat the New England Patriots by 16. We know what the Patriots are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not that impressive. They lost to the Las Vegas Raiders for their only loss of the season, 40-32. And the Raiders are not great. The Bills, they beat the Bills by 9, so 26-17, basically in mid-October. The only game that they like beat somebody down basically was in late October. They played the Broncos, who are kind of awful, 43-16. That was a real win. They beat the Jets, who were in contention for the first overall pick, 35-9. They beat Carolina by 2, 33-31. They beat the Raiders the second time by 4, 35-31. They beat Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Brady's by 3, 27-34. The second time they beat the Broncos again, but this time they beat the Broncos by 6, 22-16.
That game was close for a majority of the game too.
Correct. They beat the Dolphins by 6, 33-27. They beat New Orleans by 3, to your point, 32-29. And they beat the Falcons by 3, 17-14. How many of these close games were against quality competition?
Yeah, not very many.
Most of these games that they're playing, and they're going to play the Chargers for the second time, and Denver played them better the second time that they played. The first time they beat up Denver, the second time Denver hung in there.
Yep.
And Denver's bad. So It's like, I don't know what to make of this Kansas City team. They have a 14-1 record, but I don't know what to make of it because of what I just outlined for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just bear in mind those margin of victories. Some of those are not very impressive. And at the time, even the ones where they actually did win by double digits, some of those happened early in the season when some of those teams were not doing well. They were actually playing very badly.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind. I'm just throwing that out there. It could be an upset alert because going 14-2 doesn't really hurt Kansas City. So, and obviously, to your point, Patrick Mahomes is off. So it's like, are they super motivated? Do they care if they go 14-2?
I don't think so. Now, I mean, once you've lost one, and you've already got the number 1 seed.
Yeah. So maybe they don't care that much. Maybe the Chargers can squeak out a win.
Yeah, I actually feel that that's what will happen.
Yeah, there's a really good chance for the Chargers to get themselves a nice little win, and Kansas City just ride. You know, they're going to get their bye anyway, so moving on. Okay, Green Bay taking on Chicago. Traditional rivalry game. Chicago kind of needs this to hang in there. Mr. Trubisky has a chance to earn himself more time in Chicago because Mr. Trubisky's era will never end in Chicago, ever! Trubisky forever!
You know, I think this is my thing on this one, right? Like, obviously, the game means something to both teams, right?
Yes.
Green Bay wins; they're 100% the number 1 seed. Even if they lose, you know, it's unlikely that they lose the number 1 seed. But if they lose and New Orleans wins and Seattle wins, then they go down to the number 2 seed. Weird tiebreakers, but
yeah,
you know what I mean. So here's the thing: I would say this. All signs point to that Green Bay should win this game. If I was going to bet on it, though, I would probably bet Chicago because there's factors at play. Plus, I could probably get some decent odds on Chicago right now.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. What I will say, though, is that from Green Bay's perspective, I've been banging this drum for weeks. I don't like a lot of what that team does. They'll have these games where they'll play well. They'll have these games where they'll be shut down for half a game or 2 quarters or 3 quarters. I think going 13-3, getting the number 1 seed, getting the bye, guarantees them an extra week, and then let the rest of the chips fall where they may. It's going to be matchup based. Depending on who they play in that potential second round matchup, that's going to be the thing that's going to determine if they can actually make a run this year.
Yep.
I had the chance to talk to some Green Bay fans, and they seem really confident with this year's team. They think it's gelling. They think it's coming together, and I'm dubious. Let's put it that way. I'd like to see them, if they can show me like a real strong performance against Chicago, just put them away early and be done with it. That would be encouraging going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and it's totally possible. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, you know, just like it's more likely I think Green Bay will win this game, but you know, the way Chicago's been playing yesterday, I think they're going to, or lately, sorry, I think they're going to put up points.
Yeah, but that's basically been the sign of the, like I said, a lot of these teams with double-digit wins and high double-digit wins are not getting the job done very consistently. That's going to be the key here for this one. So,
yeah. So we shall see.
Yeah. So the last couple here have been the Sunday 425s. Actually, a bunch of Sunday 425s this time around.
Yeah, they flexed a lot of games
4, 5,
because
6,
they have playoff
7,
implications.
8. Yeah. So there's 8 of them so far. So yeah, 8. So that was number 7. So here's number 8 for the 425 slot. Your New Orleans Saints taking on the 5-10 Carolina Panthers. Seriously, you have to beat the freaking Carolina Panthers.
Yep, I think we will. It'll be interesting to see how this game shakes out. There's a notification today that one of the Saints starting, is he a corner? No, safety. I don't know. He's got COVID. He's on the COVID list, so he's not going to play. So I don't know if that affects anyone else in the secondary potentially, which could obviously make a big difference. I just think New Orleans is a better team than Carolina, and considering what they did last week offensively, with where Breeze basically didn't have to do anything, and Kamara just basically gave him the ball and he scored 6 touchdowns, which is an NFL record, tied for an NFL record. I don't. They should win this game. They should win this game fairly easily. The question is, can they put the Carolina away early enough that they can, rest some people?
Have we considered the bad karma from the lack of justice for the young Go King?
Well, there's always that too, right? I don't know. But you know what? It's quite possible the way this game goes that the hashtag young Go King could play in this game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I don't know. I feel like there's a strong karmic presence. I'm sensing it. Carolina by 30.
All right.
Big time.
Says
Big time.
You heard it here first, everybody.
Bigly. By the way, if that happens, I will play this clip on loop. I will find a way to play it on loop.
I feel that's fair.
The key, this is a little secret I'll share with everybody. The key to making outlandish predictions is to make them really outlandish. Because then if they don't happen, it's like it was outlandish. It was a ridiculous prediction.
Exactly.
But if it happens...
Yeah, it was never meant to be serious until it actually happens, and then you heard
exactly as I predicted! All right, so that leaves us with one final game. The Sunday Nighter, which will be used by this headline.
Dear God, why? My favorite headline of all our banners that we have.
All right. With playoff implications. The Washington football team at 6-9 taking on the already eliminated 4-10-1 Philadelphia Eagles, who should, for karmic reasons, lay down.
Yeah, and we know Dwayne Haskins isn't starting because he got cut this week.
That is right.
We'll talk about that
in a second.
Okay. If Alex Smith starts this game, I like Washington's chances. They're better than the Eagles, although Jalen Hurts has looked pretty good. Eagles just aren't good right now.
I still feel like if you're a Philadelphia fan, like as spite, I feel like you should be like, I want my team to lay down. Why? Screw the Cowboys. Like, do it for everyone. No one wants the Cowboys to continue.
Well, you know what though, and it only means something to Washington. It means nothing to.
That's what I'm getting at. Like,
so why not?
Does 4-11-1 make any difference to Philadelphia versus 5-10-1? Like, does it make any difference at all?
No, and I mean, you know what? Jalen Hurts is. I think they're going to have seen enough that they can make their decision on Jalen Hurts, regardless of whether they win this game or not.
Yeah.
Give the people what we deserve. Washington football team.
Like I demand Philadelphia does its duty. Right now is the time that Philadelphia needs to lay down.
Yep,
they need to lay down. They need to let Washington do what they need to do. Move on to the playoffs, as the prophecy foretold.
Agreed.
Indeed. All right, let's talk about Dwayne Haskins. How big an idiot is this fool on a scale of 1 to holy crap?
I think we're past holy crap. I mean, you violated COVID protocol twice, but once already. And then, hey, you know what?
It's not like his head coach had cancer or something. Like, what are you talking about?
But let's get caught maskless in a strip club of all places.
Yes.
Which, interestingly enough, is not the only. Let's for the purpose of argument, let's call him a high profile athlete just right now. Sure. He's not the only high profile athlete that recently got caught maskless at a strip club.
That's why I said it's a James Harden. That's why I said it's a James Harden move.
So right,
but he's not James Harden.
No,
he's not
even close. Not even close. He has nowhere near that cachet.
No.
You know what I mean? Plus the fact that he sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I think this whole story is just more fuel to fire as why Dan Snyder has no business being anywhere near an NFL team.
The best part, though, for me is that, do you have any idea like how difficult it is for an NFL quarterback to get thrown out that soon into their career? Yes, he didn't play well, but at the same time, like all the other thing, like how much does your franchise be like, I can't deal with this fool anymore? Like they were so irritated that they were like, okay, cut this guy.
Yeah,
we're done, because they have him under a rookie contract. If they thought there was anything to salvage, they could have tried, but they were like, nope, that's enough. We've dealt with this enough. Go home. Go away. Go play your trade elsewhere.
Maybe he and Carson Wentz can play on the same team next year.
Well, Carson Wentz though is going to be very interesting because, and there was a little bit of debate and discussion on this, and the thing like, I joked about the Jets. Passing on all their draft picks and everything. Philadelphia, I don't understand why Carson Wentz is a debate point because they can't trade him. All they can really do is cut him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's about it, and they'd still be on the hook for stuff. So it's like, there's who are they going to trade him to? Who would take him?
Yeah.
And the thing is Jalen Hurts the answer? I don't know. But the thing is, right now, at least he's cheaper. But you can't get rid of Carson Wentz either. So what's your plan? Because you clearly don't have faith in him. You did draft a quarterback, and every single time that you've been in position to do something, he gets hurt. And then Nick Foles took over, and then they played into the playoffs and won a Super Bowl on it. It wasn't Carson Wentz under center when they won that Super Bowl.
Nope.
And the following year when they had a run, at least a playoff run, they could have beaten New Orleans. They actually got close.
They should have.
Yeah. And who was under center?
Nick Foles.
Yeah. Again, it wasn't Carson Wentz. So it's like, how can you have confidence in the guy? And you basically sent the message, we have no confidence in you. We don't believe in you. But yeah, I guess we're paying you. So I guess you can stick around.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. But yep. And that is your NFL slate for week, I think 17. Might be 18 or maybe 17. 17. Week 17 in the National Football League.
Dun, 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 dun.
And that is it, sir. Are you ready for the final week of the
I am,
NFL
Carlos.
regular season?
I am. I'm almost wishing it was tomorrow because normally we talk on Saturdays, but this gives us a chance to people to listen to our retrospective at the beginning, think about the picks, maybe even enjoy this podcast on New Year's Day.
Ooh, saucy.
So with that, I will wish everybody a happy New Year because, it's not going to be 2020 anymore. So happy 2021, everybody.
Look at that. Look at you. Yeah, no, absolutely. A happy New Year to everybody. And, you can think back. One of the things that I said that I kind of think kind of stands is regardless of how this year went, one of the things that you can do is take stock of what happened this year. And then regardless, that doesn't mean that we can't do better.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that, and this is actually a thing that we had a conversation that I was trying to convey to a lot of folks because they were complaining about the same thing. The year 2020 has been a very difficult year for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And my one thing I could say is like, well, the only thing you can do is try to do better. That's about it. Or you can try to do with what you can. So for the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast, we do wish you all a happy New Year. And a very important hashtag that I leave you all with to conclude the year 2020.
Hashtag half Jack Sparrow, half Mr. Peanut.
And I feel like that's the perfect ending to what has been an interesting year.
Indeed.
And it took me a very long time to type that. I was trying to make sure I had it right. Yes. And that is how we will conclude. So that is this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense podcast. We will all see you all in 2021. Best of luck and Godspeed.